Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and to another installment of the K&SV and Scenic Valley Railroad build. It's actually been quite a while since I edited the footage for installment 9, so I don't remember how I left it. What I do know is that this week's installment concerns the construction of the backdrops, which of course are an integral part of any diorama, and in this particular case are also an essential part of the structure for the upper level. Actually, as an aside, this is not the first time today that I've been standing in front of this camera. I spent most of this morning editing installment 11, and I was just about to upload it to YouTube when I realized that I had not yet finished installment 10. So I'm backtracking a little bit. So without further diversions, let's just head out into the workshop and get busy. Well, as I may have mentioned earlier, before I lay the track on this level, I want to start working on the backdrops. So I've got some posts in. Obviously the main support will be the C girders, but I need additional posts elsewhere. This one was particularly complex as it meets at an odd angle. And what I've done now is clamped a thin strip of plywood in the correct alignment so that I can get the length right. That's a lot easier than bending a 16-inch wide sheet of masonite just for a test fit. So now that I've marked the two ends, I can take that off, measure it, and then cut the backdrop to the right size. Well, I got the first panel installed just before lunch. I was going to make a video clip earlier, but just as I picked up the camera I got tagged by a wasp on my finger, so I went in and had some lunch. Anyway, this shows how I've installed it. It's got stiffness where it needs to keep it straight, because with humidity changes in a train room, flat pieces of backdrop tend to buckle. It's okay in the corners and even this gentle reverse curve, because any slight size changes will just get taken up by increasing or decreasing the radius. I calculated where the openings needed to be to get the trains through. And of course this corner here wants to spring out, which is why I have a brace in behind it. Just like the clamps, all the screws are temporary, everything is glued. I will take all those screws out tomorrow, and eventually I will spackle over the holes. This piece of backdrop across here is straightforward, so I'm not going to worry myself with that today. I am trying to get the more complicated pieces in around this corner. This entire level needs backdrops as integral parts of the benchwork, because they are intended to be a series of dioramas. And of course a diorama is nothing without its backdrop. Anyway, I'm just going to get back to work, get this next piece in, and I'll check in with you again later. The second piece went a lot faster because I already had all the difficult parts done. It was just a case of putting a piece of masonite in the hole. This backdrop is a lot shallower than the others, because I know there's going to be some high ground behind the track, so there's no more point in going back down. I had to step up here to clear the trains in the back of the tunnel, and the easiest thing to do was just to rip it that width all the way along. I will go back to a full height piece next, because there is a stream that crosses under the bridge at that point and then comes up diagonally behind the track. Well, I've now got 4 pieces of backdrop in, 2 in the spring diorama and 2 in the winter diorama. I think I've had enough fun for one afternoon. It's only about 4 o'clock, so there's still time left in the day, but I got stuff I need to do inside, and I have also run out of clamps. Yes, I know I could replace all these clamps along the top edge with screws, but that's more holes to fill, so I'm not going to. So I'm just going to go in now and I will continue tomorrow. Don't go away. It is Thursday morning. I think it's about the 10th of January, somewhere around there. So far I have removed all the clamps and about 100 temporary screws. I still haven't sanded off the burrs yet, but I'll do that when the backdrops are ready for spackling. Today I want to continue in both directions, but before I can do that, there is one post that supports the upper deck missing behind this bridge. It needs to be 7 inches in from the base, from the benchwork joint. There'll be another one like this one behind the backdrop, but obviously I have to put it in before I put the backdrop in that area. So I'm going to do that next, and then I'll get the backdrop around this end. I don't know if I'm going to go all the way across the front of the helix. I might want to leave access to that so that I can attach these fences down here on the next few levels with the staple gun. So I might just put the framing in and the curve and then leave this piece of straight backdrop out for now. I'm going to do this end first, and then I'm going to go all the way back and start working down in the other direction from here. So don't go away, I will check in with you again periodically. Well, this corner is all framed up. You may notice some extra bracing. The pieces that go perpendicular from the plane of the backdrop are to stop the posts wobbling forward and backwards. So it's that one and those two in that side. So there's this piece here and those two in that side. They may look as though they don't do anything, but they are important. And I've also got the bent stick method of figuring out the exact length of backdrop around there. The thin strip of plywood that I used before snapped because I had it bent too tight a radius. So I'm using an offcut of masonite now. I didn't have one before. Anyway, although I think that I can do this section in one piece, I am going to join it on this wide support column here. That way I can get the curved bit in while still leaving access to the back of the helix. And it also allows me to use up pieces that I have left over because I already have an offcut that'll do that. And it'll only be a very short joint to spackle because the landscape will go almost to the top at that point anyway. The other thing that I'm doing while I have this strip in is measuring down from the top to the road bed so that I know exactly how high a backdrop can clear the double stacks. So let me just get back to work and I'll check in with you again later. Don't go away. Well, I have the next piece of backdrop finally installed and all the framing for the end of this diorama and the start of the next one. This gets a little bit complicated here. I've got to put a tapered strip down there because this is already into the curve. But my stomach is telling me it is time for lunch, so I'm going to head inside now and I will check in with you again later. Don't go away. Well, once again I have run out of both time and clamps, but not before I got the backdrop all the way around through the winter diorama and almost halfway along the fall diorama. I've also added all the supports for the rest of the fall diorama, all except the one at the end. I've got it cut, but I think it needs to be angled, and I'm not sure what that angle is. So I will check that overnight so I can put it in tomorrow. So I'm going to sign off for today, and I will see you tomorrow. Don't go away. Well, I have started today by removing all the clamps and the temporary screws. The next thing I'm going to do is get the next two pieces of masonite in, round as far as here. I'm going to join it in the straight halfway between these two posts, and then the last piece I will leave off until I've built the helix. It shouldn't take too long, all the supports are already there, so I'm just going to get to work and I'll check in with you again later. Don't go away. Well, I have now installed two more pieces of backdrop. That is as far as I'm going today. I am leaving this piece out until after I've built the upper helix. I have also laid the exit track, both on this helix and the other one, this piece over here. In both cases I have stopped them at the benchwork joint. Next step is to glue wood hinge into place and then start building the sub road bed for the upper helix. I'm going to do one lap on this helix, and then I'm going to have to cut a whole load more panels, and I will do the same on the other helix. Well, that's all for this week. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you again next time. I may have mentioned in the introduction that next week's installment will be a lot longer than this one, so I look forward to seeing you there. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.